program, KCAA.
Live from the NBC News radio broadcasting studios of KCAA, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, located in beautiful sunny California, which it is today. Thanks for tuning into The Water Zone. I'm your host, Rob Starr, along with our other host, Mr. Chris Davies, the Wizard of Water.
Good evening, Rob. How are you tonight?
I am good. We're doing well.
Yep.
And can you hear it good? We're all hearing good? Okay, excellent. We got no technical problems tonight. I am happy. But I still can't hear anything through my headphones. But anyway, we'll go.
You're right next to me. You're fine.
Okay.
I'll read your lips.
Do you read my lips? Can you read lips?
No.
Well, it's a beautiful day out. It's like 86 degrees. We did have the June gloom this morning, and actually till about 1 o'clock. But it's a beautiful day, and we're very happy. And we have one of our dear friends on, a gentleman named Darren from, guess where? Got a guess?
Yeah.
I just told you 2 minutes ago.
You did. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't want to mess it up. I messed up the name the other day.
You don't mess it up. It's Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio.
And he's broadcasting from Florida. And so if you're watching us, I know you are, so we're going to give you a big wave. And thanks for joining us and letting us join you. I understand we're going to be live on your radio show right now, so we're excited about that. And anything new for you for the week, Chris?
No, I gave blood today, if that counts.
That's a good boy.
So live stream, and so we're good. I'm not dizzy anymore. I have my free bag of peanuts and my little, 3.5 ounce orange juice.
So what about when you're dizzy every day that I see you?
Yes,
that's something else?
Story for another day.
That's another story for another day. Okay, good. Well, we have our great guest on, as always. And for anybody who doesn't know by now who this lady is, you're missing out. Her name is Miss Chris Austin. She is the purveyor of Maven's Notebook, the #1 source for water news in California. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
We're doing great.
So, are you hot down there?
It's warm.
I mean,
I'm always hot.
I
you mean about, is it the weather hot?
the
Yes.
temperature? The
temperature.
See, I'm
Okay.
up in Fresno.
Fresno.
Beautiful Fresno.
Oh, yes. Fresburg. Yeah.
And it's hot here. And so, like, all of a sudden you realize, hey, that's June gloom. Hey, that's not so bad. Because it's hot. I mean, oh, boy. Sun comes up, it's hot.
Oh, well, they said it's going to get cooler this week, but next week is supposed to have record heat here in California.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
So,
Could hit the
Yay.
first triple digits of the year.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was triple digits up here in Fresno. You know, every time I come to Fresno, which isn't often, I always remember I'm dating myself here. The old Carol Burnett miniseries.
oh, come on, you're 29, you watch the reruns. Be truthful.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Anyways, I'm up here at the Groundwater Sustainability Agency Summit, where it just was all today about and yesterday about how to, all these people are writing these groundwater plans for, to meet the requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, and some of these basins are coming up, have a deadline in January 31st to turn in a plan. Now, the plan, you don't have to balance your extractions from the aquifers with your, inflows into the aquifers with this first plan. The groundwater basins have 20 years to balance that out. But you have to have a plan and some milestones along the way, and you have to kind of sketch this all out. And if you don't get this plan turned in and submitted, you could be subject to state water board intervention, so which nobody wants.
Nope.
So it's been an interesting day. Up here in the San Joaquin Valley, they really have. It's really where almost all of the critically overdrafted basins in the state, the ones that have to meet this January 31st, 2020 deadline, It's really this whole area. And the PPIC did a study. They've actually done a lot of research here in the valley, and they say that if we upgraded the infrastructure and if we put markets in place, water markets and trading plans, that the possibility, everyone understands that the implementation of Sustainable Groundwater Management Act is going to reduce agriculture in the San Joaquin Valley. I mean, there's just no other way about it. But really the question is how much. And so the PPIC said that if you had the water markets and the better infrastructure, that it could be down to only 25% reduction in economic output, which, I mean, you say, well, that doesn't sound so bad, but then if I came to you and said, okay, I'm cutting your pay by 25%, most of us would go, ooh, ow, right? Yep. So it's a 25%, and that would be the best case scenario. So, there's a lot of things to think about, and one of them is, what are you going to do with all this land that's going to come out of production, because it's going to have to reduce agriculture in the San Joaquin Valley. I mean, there's no other way to balance it. I mean,
no, they're not going to like it.
No, it's hard. I really feel for the farmers, because, I mean, this is how they make their living.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
And, the problem is that, too many of them have gone out, and as you've driven the San Joaquin Valley up and down the 5, and I have done this actually for like the past 6 years, it's amazing how many almond trees and pistachio trees there are along the way. And if you go over to Paso Robles and you go up to 101, it's grapevines. Grapevines everywhere, as far as the eye can see. And, these orchards take out more water out of the ground than would, to use than can be naturally sustained in most of these basins. So, some of these people are going to have to shrink, and that's really difficult.
Well, I think with the new technologies that we're seeing with irrigation, I know we had somebody on from the almond board, probably about 2 years ago, when when the drought was getting really, really bad, or starting to get really bad, and they were saying the steps that they took or were taking were going to help them significantly to reduce water. They understood what the problem was. They're just getting smarter on what to do and how to do, and I don't think there's been any press since then to talk about that.
Well, the thing is, agriculture efficiency will only get you so far. And the farmers in the Central Valley, and really in California, have been implementing agricultural efficiency things for, a decade or so. It's not new. So it's sort of like the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, on agricultural water efficiency in a lot of cases has kind of been done. Now, is there more we can do? Sure, but it's not going to make up for the amount of water that is needed, that will be needed to sustain all of the agricultural lands that are in production at this point in time. I mean, the math just doesn't bear that out. Farmers are business people. Water is an input. They've been getting grants and encouragement to be efficient for years, and they have been doing that. Yep. So that means that it's only so much farther you can go.
While on the subject of water, Chris, every week I like to tell you what strikes my what catches my eye on Maven's notebook when I go on there. So I did see this headline, using the from the old the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, right? The water, water everywhere kind of a thing, and then lose it or use it or lose it, right? So the state's saying, what is the state saying? I mean, what does that mean? We got full reservoirs, we got highest precipitation in I don't know how long. The snow pack in the Sierras is there. So what do they mean? Use it or lose it?
They put the water from Shasta back in the bay, and
Yeah.
instead of
Goes out to the ocean.
instead of hiring the water train to move water.
Oh yes, the water train.
I love that. I love the water train.
There's a lot of water sitting up there in the snowpack,
Right.
and these hot days are coming, and that water's got to come down. And as it comes down, I mean, they got to manage this really very carefully. Now, we want to put as much water as we can and sink it into the ground and recharge our groundwater aquifers where we can, but our infrastructure is limited in the amount that it can take in, and there's a lot of water up there. So you got to be, it has to be, carefully managed, and it's water management is never easy. And then the next one underneath it is that here they're saying water everywhere. Oh my word, we have to be so careful. And then the second one underneath is people going, well, gosh, we got a lot of water, but there are still some farmers in the Central Valley, mainly on the west side, Westlands Water District in general, that aren't getting. They're only getting, I think, 65% water allocation this year.
Yeah.
So, and that's right there is the limitation in our infrastructure.
Yeah.
That we can't move the volumes of water that are potentially there. But we also, the problem with infrastructure is you can't. I mean, this has been an unusually wet year, and you can't build your infrastructure size for unusually wet years. It costs you a fortune, right? So sometimes it's quite a balance.
Yeah, but you tell the true story, right? For a farmer, enough is never enough, right? I mean, that's the way to look at it.
Right.
Well, the good thing with the rainfall this year, despite a weaker cattle market and trade uncertainties affecting the beef exports, California ranchers say marketing heavier cattle this year has improved the returns. Thanks to abundant rainfall, it produced lots of grass.
Yeah. So
why?
and in
No, go ahead.
past years with the drought, there wasn't much grazing out there, and if they can't graze the cattle, then they have to buy the food, and
that's expensive.
It is.
So I don't know. I don't know who's making the master plan on all of this stuff, but agriculture is a large part of California's economic growth and sustainability, and I hate to see it go away. I know there was one state senator, I won't mention the name because I don't like to do that during the daytime. I'll do it off air. But anyway, he wants to do away with agriculture in the state.
Well, the truth is that California is the leading agricultural state. I do believe we are like half the fruits and nuts in the United States, and we feed a big export market too. And the idea, I mean, we all know, I think we all understand that agriculture needs to shrink, but it can't go away. I mean, it's like it would be detrimental not only to our own nation but to the world. There are people that depend on the food that California produces and exports.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not just the farmers; it's all the businesses that surround all of that.
And even here too. Yes, California can't exit the global food market. Without serious ramifications in people going hungry, and so it's like California agriculture needs to continue for us here and for the nation and exports too, but we have to find a way to rein it in a little bit more than what it has been.
Absolutely, we agree.
And almonds should not be demonized, by the way. Almonds are a storable protein. which is actually an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a healthy snack, and we shouldn't demonize almonds or pistachios. It's a perfectly good crop to grow, healthy and all that. We just need maybe a little bit less of them.
Well, one of the biggest booms in the U.S. now is almond milk.
Yes. Which I don't know. I'm not. I don't drink almond milk. The funny thing is, my husband has a daughter in Canada, and she's vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And when during the height of the drought, she sent us all these articles about how if we would all stop eating meat, then all our water problems would go away. Right?
I've heard
and
that.
then my husband goes up to visit her, and he comes back, and he's like, she drinks almond milk. So I was like, oh, okay. So I started sending her all these almonds are sucking California dry articles. I started sending them her way. Cows, almonds, okay. What you tell me which.
I like my burgers and steak.
Well, and interestingly enough, the cows and the ranching provide a service in a way.
Sure.
If they weren't out there grazing down those grasslands, then we would have to go out and maintain them some other way. And the key is moderating grazing so that it's not detrimental, which is something I do believe back I think it was in the 20s or the 30s they dealt with overgrazing, and so they've actually been very efficient at managing it in recent decades. But we need the grazing cows to manage the land.
Right.
That's true. Oh, we have another call.
Frank. Yep.
He's checking.
So
the board.
before we get to before we transition right to the second half of the show. So what's the latest on the Delta Stewardship Council? Right. I think didn't they put out a report this week? Quarterly report.
Well, no, actually, the Delta Water Master was in to talk about what's been going on inside the Delta. And, there's some interesting news to report. All the Delta water diverters that were required to file their reports filed them. They have 100% compliance in that area, which is, there are so many others in other parts of the state that are not in compliance. But the Delta folks, they really have been standing up on that. And the bad news is that there's, the channels in the South Delta have become, a lot of sediment has come into the channels. We've had these high water years.
Right.
The water comes down from the mountains. It brings all the sediment. And it's when
Settles.
it's going downhill, it's moving, it's great. When it gets onto the delta where it kind of flattens out, slows down, that's when the sediment drops out. And so the channels are quite soaked, filled with sediment at this time. And that's just not good for anybody. The farmers can't get water. The fish can't swim up and down it. No boater can, be boating on it. So it's trying to figure out what to do and how to do it and how to solve the problems. That's that's the challenge. So.
Well, hey, going back to a subject we talked a couple of weeks ago about unsafe drinking water. I guess there was a coalition of California residents who were affected by this unsafe drinking. They did a protest at the Capitol in California.
Oh yeah, well they've been the people who are advocating to solve the drinking water problem are really capitalizing on the momentum.
Right.
Really, the momentum that built from the legislative session last year. They couldn't get a deal passed, but I do believe it was Senator Hertzberg and I think someone else I cannot remember who vowed to carry it on into this new legislative, season, and they certainly have done that. And Governor Newsom has signaled that this is an important issue to him. And so those that are advocating for to solve this problem have been protesting and making their presence known. I mean, we're so close to solving this, and it's really not it's overall a proportion to the state budget. We're just talking maybe $500 million. We have a budget that is $2 billion, $3 billion.
Yeah.
It's very small amount of money, relatively speaking, and we're so close to solving this problem. So, people are really pushing for their favorite option. Apparently, the water tax idea isn't completely dead, but we'll see where it goes.
Well, you got 1 million people who are affected by lack of access to that, plus another 2 million people. They're vulnerable to contamination, and again, to me, I just don't understand why we don't move faster.
Yeah,
to
some
fix
of these
these
protesters
issues.
are saying they can't even shower with this water. Right?
They don't even want to shower.
Not suitable for washing dishes, and wow,
it's hard to imagine, isn't it? Because
it's worse than a third world country, or like a third world country. It's ridiculous in a country as big as ours and as wealthy as ours, and with all the smarts that we have, the only thing that's holding it up is politics.
Yeah, and where are we going to get the money from? The water districts really fight the idea of a water tax. They don't want to be the tax collectors. They see it as an entry point that once the state starts putting a tax on our water for this to solve this drinking water problem, that they'll put on a tax for other things too.
Well, I think if they stop the train, the train to nowhere, and take the money they got for that and use it for the water, which is more important to the state and the health of people, I think that's what I believe, and it's about time we move forward.
But we the people voted for that train to nowhere. I wasn't one of them, but we the state, and
yes, we did.
And so to take it back, I believe it has to go to the voters to get taken back. I don't think the governor or the legislature can just thwart the will of the voters and say we're taking the money back.
Yeah, yes, you are very correct, and people did vote for it. The problem is they didn't stick to the agreement. It's way over budget. It's 2 or 3 times higher than what they said it was going to be, and it's not building the train that it was supposed to build. The first set of tracks are not high-speed tracks, and the studies that came in over the last couple of years saying it's not feasible to do. No one's going to sustain it, to operate it. But again, we have something that doesn't make sense with the train, but we have something that's critical to the lives of people and children and older people, and we're not doing anything about it. Just talking. Not you and me, the politicians. I know things take a long time going through government, but God, this is a serious thing.
Yeah, no doubt. And, hopefully we're going to see something happen. Yep. I mean, I think we've never been closer, to solving it. So hopefully that will be forthcoming. Governor Newsom has certainly said it's a problem he wants to solve.
Yep. Well, I think if it wasn't for people like you who put out Maven's Notebook and things of that sort, a lot of people really don't hear about this stuff and don't know what's continually going on. They hear sound bites on the news once in a while when somebody stirs.
That's the problem. The news just gives you 3 seconds and 6 words. And
yeah. And we tell everybody every single week, and we're saying that from our hearts, truthfully,
yep.
And not because we know you and we work with you here. There's no better person in the state to get the stuff from, the news from, except for you. And so I recommend everybody go to mavensnotebook.com, check it out, be a subscriber, be a donator to it. It's a great thing. So
yep, great to hear from you again this week, Chris.
All right, take care, guys.
Yep, have a good week. We'll be back in a second. Take a break for a word from our sponsors.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
If you knew there was a pipe cement that works better than the one you're currently using, is better for you and the environment, and costs the same or less, would you buy it? Well, no-brainer, right? Weldon, the trusted leader in solvent cements for over 60 years, is pleased to introduce a new line of solvent cements that does all that. Introducing the Eco Series line of solvent cements for PVC piping systems. Not only does it work great and set fast, it also has 30% lower solvent emissions and less smelly fumes, a better workplace environment when you're installing pipes. But don't just take our word for it. EcoSeries products are the only solvent cements that are Green Seal certified for environmental innovation for effective performance, improved working conditions, and for use with potable water. Now available in a medium-bodied fat-setting blue formula 905 Eco and a regular-bodied fat-setting clear formula 900 Eco. Pick up a can today from your local distributor and see, smell, and feel the difference, just like Joe Sweat, president of Sunrise Irrigation, did. He said, after using Weldon's 905 Eco, we immediately noticed the application was smooth and there was noticeably less odor than other blue solvent cements on the market. The guys love it. To learn more about Eco solvent cements from Weldon, visit the website at www.weldon.com or call the technical service hotline at 877-477-8327. That's 877-477-8327.
Time to take a water break and talk some water. Irrigation. Such a refreshing topic. As more and more markets face water restrictions, your customers may be hungry, or should I say thirsty, for water-saving products. For new installations, add options like drip irrigation, controllers that respond to weather data, pressure regulating heads, or heads with check valves. They all provide easy ways to differentiate your bids and win more jobs. Or for an extra stream of revenue, offer existing customers upgrades like high-efficiency nozzles, rotary nozzles, or Wi-Fi based controllers. Because when you help your customers save water, you make a world of difference for the earth and your bottom line at the same time. We'll drink to that.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the Water Zone with Rob and Chris. Hope everybody's having a good night. Just a reminder to people, we are working with a great other radio guy, and his name is Darren. And Darren runs what's called Turfs Up Radio. And if anybody's listening out there, they can simply download the Turfs Up Radio app, and anytime and listen to the show. It's also on NBC News Radio, Talk 102.3 FM, Amazon Echo, Instagram, Spotify, TuneIn, Spreaker, Pandora, YouTube, Ustream, iHeartRadio, Facebook, Stitcher, iTunes, Tiki Live, Podbean, TalkStream Live. And that's a lot of stuff we're on.
Yeah, you missed billboards, blimps, and
yeah, I guess I haven't seen our picture on Billboard yet, but I can work on that. Do you want to be on a billboard?
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good.
You don't want to be on a billboard.
Nor do I want to be on a milk carton.
Is that because you have a face for radio or what? No, I'm only kidding. So anyway, do tune into Turfs Up Radio. They do have great music. It's all isolated for the landscape industry business, but they give away prizes, all kinds of things, really nice things like real chainsaws and expensive stuff. It's a great radio show. They talk about how to manage a business. They talk about everything in the landscape world and industry. It's a good thing to do. So it's turfsupradio.com, and you can stream that, and you can hear us live on that as well. Anyway, we have a next guest coming up, a special guest. And I met this lady at the Southern Nevada Water Symposium about a year or so ago, and her name is Julie Gillens, and she is the Water Conservation Manager for Washington County Water Conservancy in Utah. So I think you're on the line because I see a little blue light. Are you there, Julie?
I believe. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
And the reason I say that, I don't know about what in your offices, if people wear headsets when they answer phones, do they do that there?
It just depends on if you're on the phone a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And what freaks me out when I go to people's offices and I see them sitting there and I don't know if they're talking or listening or whatever, they should put little red lights on or blue lights on.
No, on the outside door, right?
Yeah, so you know they're on air.
On air, right.
so we know what's what. So, hey, thank you very much. I know we've been trying to get you for a long time. You are, I know about your background and everything else, and I know you're passionate about water and women and wellness and all those kind of things, and you've been doing this for quite a while, but you are a wonder woman in your company and in your water district. So we want to tell you that right up front. And maybe you can tell us how'd you get into this business?
Well, I just kind of fell into it.
You didn't get hurt.
Yeah, that's it. No pun intended, right? Right, you fall into the water business.
I made a splash in the industry. Sorry, I won't. I'll keep my day job. I'll keep my day job and no more joke.
I've been with the district 24 years, and I started by doing a water fair, an annual water fair for all the fourth graders in the county, and then it just kept building on that. We saw it was back in 1995, and when conservation was just starting, and so I just have just grown in the position.
Wow.
So it is kind of interesting that I just fell into it because I am passionate about it. You know, I see how critical water is and how important it is for life. So it's nice to be a part of that.
Was it hard to change the attitude you had before versus afterwards?
No, because I think everyone wants to be good stewards of what they have,
Sure,
and so it as you learn, you realize how you can be that. So.
Well, you said you've been there 24 years, and that's been a while since then. How about the district itself? Can you give us a little bit of history around the district itself?
Yeah. So the district was created in 1962. It was through a vote of the residents here in Washington County. We're a political subdivision of the state of Utah, so we fall under their jurisdiction. Even though Washington County is in our name, it just designates our jurisdiction of what we're over. And we mainly were formed to build a reservoir off of the river that runs through this county. And then when that didn't fall through, or when that fell through, we've just filled the need that we, with all the other municipalities here in the county.
Now, your water is sold wholesale to different municipal customers like St. George and Hurricane, Santa Clara, Ivans, and so forth and so on. That's correct?
Correct. So we're primarily a wholesaler. And in 2006, we regionalized our water. So the main municipalities in Washington County came together. They were out of water. We were a body that could go and find new water and do these projects. And so although the municipalities kept their water rights, we pulled them together. And so we can move water from one end of the county to the other as our needs are, whatever our needs are. So.
How many service accounts do you have, Julie? I mean, is it just a small number and their sub agencies or local agencies, or do you, because there's no direct sale to residential customers?
No, not we have taken over a few small systems where they were established, but they couldn't keep up with the maintenance of it and things like that. So we took over a few small systems, but that would be less than 400 retail. And we have about, I would say, 9 in our regional water supply, 9 municipalities that have signed on. And it's the major population. So St. George, Washington, Ivans, Santa Clara, Hurricane and La Verkin, Tokerville and Leeds.
Yeah, regionally that's a fairly diverse regionally. I mean, geographically, there's a lot of miles between those towns.
Yes.
Wow. So, where does the district get its water from?
Okay, so we have groundwater that we use, and right now it's about 50% of our water comes from groundwater, and then 50% comes from surface water. we built in 1985, we built a reservoir that held 40,000 acre-feet of water. That was its capacity. And then in 2003, we built another reservoir, and its capacity was 50,000 acre-feet. And so we just pull water from the Virgin River when we have all the runoff, or sometimes it's lack of runoff.
Yeah,
But
whatever the case may be.
This year we've done really well. All our reservoirs are full.
Yeah, thankfully, so is most of the western United States. So that's good news.
Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to. I know you were hanging on for a few minutes before you came on, and we were talking about the water here, where people are talking about use it or lose it, because they're getting filled, and when the reservoirs get filled, they got to let it go somewhere, and they can't fill enough aquifers, or get it to the places it
Can't
needs
put
to
it in
be.
settling basins. There's not enough reservoir resource. I mean, the reservoirs are all at 80% pool and higher. So what do you do?
Exactly.
Well,
So,
that's it.
it all stays in. I think it goes down to Virgin River empties into Lake Mead. So.
Yeah. Well, let's talk in a minute about your conservation plans, but maybe a baseline issue to talk about before we do that is a lot of our listeners are interested in what the rest of the country pays for their water, right, Julie? So can you give us sort of a roundhouse view of in comparison to other water districts either close to you in Utah or in the western United States of where your price point stands?
So you're talking about retail, correct?
Yeah, at the retail end. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
So it varies with the cities, and we are a nonprofit, so we can so the cities can only charge what it takes to deliver the water, and so but with so you would have to go on each city's website and get an idea. But I do know ours are pretty. If you abuse the water, you will have to pay for it. So we have a $15 minimum just for the connection or for the monthly fee, and then it's $2 per thousand for the first 12,000, and then it goes up from there. And then we even have a cap on a yearly use. So if you pass that, then you're paying up to $10 per thousand.
How many tiers are there in the?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiers.
Wow.
And one, so it goes from $2 to $2.50 for the next 5,000. Then $3 up to the $3.50, and then $6 for the next 5,000.
Do they aggressively go after people who do that?
Yeah, it's their bill.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes there's a leak or a unforeseen thing that they hardship, and so they'll work with them. But
do they set up a water budget for each of the homes? I know in California with the tier systems here, they go out and say, okay, you got 2 people living in the home, your kids are away, and you got a dog and this and that, and you do this much average laundry, and you got a swimming pool, and they calculate that. And then when the kids come home from the summer, the water bill jumps because the kids watch clothes every day and go swimming, and then they call they get a big bill, so then they call the water agency, hey, my kids came home, and my 3 kids are here, so obviously there's more people in the house, and they kind of manipulate that, so they give them a break on that, but we don't have a lot of
Irvine was the first one to do that, at least as I know, and
Right.
I really think that is the best way to run the raids. But no, we're not there yet.
A good friend of ours was the one who wrote those, named Tom Ash.
Yeah, Tom Ash. Yeah.
Yes, Tom Ash.
Yeah, Tom's a great guy, and he was part of developing that, and then went around to different water agencies like Western and Inland Empire Utilities and such to do that. I think it's a good thing. I know I was telling Chris here a couple weeks ago when I was doing some stuff up in Beverly Hills. I went around with the lady in charge of conservation there, and we went to a house that had 7 swimming pools.
Oh, wow.
and you know their tiers are more their tier rating is a lot higher than what you would expect. Much higher. I mean, more than 100 times that, right?
Wow.
So they sent the letters to the guy, and as you said, it's the bill. And the guy says, "That's fine. I can afford it. I'll just write you a check and pay for it every month." He didn't care.
Yeah.
It's nice if you can do that. That's your summer home, right, Rob?
I don't know. That's my summer home. No.
Yeah.
If it was, I'd sell it and go somewhere else. But anyway.
So, Julie, can you give us a little background about the conservation plans that your district has, or
Sure.
what you kind of what's the 30,000-foot view of the conservation efforts that you're making, and then maybe we can dive down into a couple of them individually.
Okay, sure. So we wrote our first conservation plan in 1996. So, and we've just been developing from there, adding programs and such. We've also, I think it was in 2010 that we invited or hired the Meadows Water Management. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're well respected among the
water auditors, yeah.
Yeah. So they looked at our program as programs that we offered as well, and were able to give us some suggestions on what would do well. We also worked with the cities to see what they felt their customers would be willing to participate in. And so then we were able to come up with program measures and things like that we felt would do well in our area.
From what I read about that, you guys scored very high compared to other similar cities or districts, and
Yes.
you guys got a great rating from them. So that's wonderful. We give you a lot of kudos for that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still things to do, but it is nice that people are really starting to see the need, especially this is very arid and arid area. A lot different from, we kind of get bundled in with the Wasatch Front. And but we are very unique in our climate down here. So I don't know if your listeners know where it's in southern Utah, and we're close to Zion National Park. That's in our
beautiful place.
Yeah,
county.
Bryce, Zion, beautiful area. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The area is gorgeous with the color of the mountains and things like that.
So how do you get people to change their habits, and do you guys use the word conservation, or do you use the term water efficiency? How do you get people to change? Because everybody says they can change, but it's not that easy.
And that's true. I think that's with anything.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of education. I feel that education is where it's at. Even if you have regulations, you still have that enforcement that has to happen.
Yeah, sure.
To get them to do it. So I feel education is the key to the whole thing. Eventually, we may have to go to regulations and enforcement, but I think it's important that people understand why they need to do it and then how they can do it, and give them those tools. So we have rebate programs, we have a media campaign, we have 2 conservation gardens, one that is more of the traditional landscape, and then we have a desert garden that was built in 2015, and it has all desert plants. And it's called the Red Hills Desert Garden, and they're on Facebook. If you want to try and find that, he posts beautiful pictures of these gorgeous blossoms from the cactus and stuff like that.
Do you have a website address for that?
Huh?
Do you have a website address for that?
Oh, yeah, it's redhillsgarden.com.
Okay.
All one
But
string.
then they're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
He posts quite a few things on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because what we try to do here on the show is to get perspectives from all over the country and actually all over the world, And because people think one thing is here in California and everybody's experienced the same thing all over. It's not. It's all different. Everybody has different challenges and different things and different climates and such as that. So you had mentioned you do rebates, and what type of rebates do you offer?
Our one that goes really well is a irrigation rebate. So to upgrade your irrigation to be more efficient. We were offering smart controllers through the district, but now the state has taken that over.
Oh.
And you can go to utahwatersavers.com and apply, make an account and see what rebates you qualify for.
Mm-hmm.
So they do the smart controller, but we still offer for we have a lot of HOAs or planned developments, and we will still rebate them to these commercial or multifamily accounts. And then, and we also have a high efficiency head where if you want to put in the finger spray, a lot of people call them that.
Stream sprays,
Convert over, to the finger spray. If you convert a spray valve to a drip, you can get a rebate for that. And then also just capping off a valve altogether.
Right. So is the rebate on the entire sprinkler or just on the nozzle, Julie?
We do it by valve.
Okay.
So if you convert a valve over, you can get $60 back on that.
Well, that's a good price.
Do you do inside the house water conservation things as well as outside the house?
We were offering toilet rebates, but the state has taken that over as well. And so we focus. The main use of water is toilets indoors. So that was our focus, and now the state has just taken that over.
So the people that want to get rebates and things, how do they know, or do you give assistance to them on knowing what their irrigation system is, or water audits?
Outreach and education that you're talking about,
so
Julie.
On our website, we list our programs, and then the state's programs, we link to theirs. So, there's still people that have a hard time, but we're here to help them. So all it takes is a call or an email, and I can help walk them through that. We also offer water checks, where we will go to a homeowner's home, run a series of tests on their sprinkler system. We can tell them how efficient it is through these tests and make suggestions on how to make it more efficient. And then we give them a recommended irrigation schedule. A lot of times, it's amazing how much the time you need to run your system to get the recommended water out varies from system to system.
Yep.
And so this is just a more precise way to irrigate and to make sure that no water is wasted.
Do you do anything, Julie, to target, the high water users or excessive water users that by comparison, hey, all your neighbors are kind of doing this, and you've got the same size lot, and
we're starting. We have a secondary water system over in a community called Tokerville, and we just put in meters. I wrote a grant to the Bureau of Rec and received it, and so with that money, we have converted just a valve because of the untreated water. It's been difficult to find meters that would function in that type of water. And now technology is there, and so we put meters in. It's a lot of ag, but also some residential. And I would say probably about 350 residential and then about 100 ag connections in that community. And so it's an opportunity where we can track water use because we also in that community have watering times when they have to water, and so we can monitor that, and then also the customer can get on their website or on a phone app and see what their water use is and how it
Awesome.
compares
Oh,
to
that's
the
good. I
water.
was just going to ask that question.
Yeah, that's good. A lot of times here in Southern California, and in a lot of other places, water agencies do like annual events and workshops and training and education and outreach and stuff like that. Do you do the same?
Well, we offer about 24 workshops a year in conjunction with our
That's
demonstration
terrific.
garden. And then we also have some events. Just a lot of times people won't come to a workshop, but they'll come to a free event.
All right.
And so that brings them to those gardens to see what resources there and hopefully motivate them to participate in some of those.
Yeah, do the gardens sell native plants, or are there ample nurseries around that they're available?
Yeah, so we pretty much only have some small local nurseries, but we have one major one, and we've had to special order some of the plants that we wanted, and we're hoping that as people start asking for the plant material, that it will push the market to have them readily available in the nurseries. But some of they were difficult to get. It isn't all native, but they are adaptive to our climate here,
Right,
and
right.
we try to represent, because we have like 3 basins that come together: the Mojave, the Great Basin, and the Colorado Plateau.
Yeah.
And so we try to bring all that variety of plant materials in that desert garden.
Yeah, the outreach and the education, it do persuade quite a number of people to do stuff. Do you work with, like landscaping firms, maintenance, things like that, so you can help your customers or get to the resource they need to make changes?
Yeah, so out of California, they have a program, Qualified Water Efficient Landscapers,
Yeah.
and Utah has adopted that program.
So
And so we offer that course twice a year. And then to help and give the landscapers an incentive, if they want to use that to drum up business for them, they can take my rebate program and tell them about the rebate program. And if they and also they can do an audit, and I will reimburse the homeowner for the total cost of that audit, up to $75.
Oh.
So that kind of gives them an incentive, the homeowner the incentive, the landscaper the incentive to participate
Sure.
in the programs that are offered.
The free water check you talked about earlier, is that like a mini water audit sort of a thing?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, I
It's
got
a
it.
simplified.
Right.
It's I don't know if you're familiar with irrigation associations.
Yeah, we're members.
Oh, yeah, we're members.
In fact, our company, the Toro Company, is a founding member of that. So yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that goes into plant water availability. We put out the cups and we run the system. So it is simplified, but it's not as technical as the IA.
Oh.
And they even offer the audit through the QWEL, the Qualified Water, the
Right.
QWEL.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Well, they say quell. We say QL.
Yes.
I know. I changed. That's what we've said it. So, but yeah, it's QWEL.
It works either way.
For the last minute we got here, where do you see any problems in the future for water in your neck of the woods?
Repeat that question again. I'm sorry.
Do you foresee any problems with water shortages in the upcoming future for your territory?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Because we are an arid, we have prolonged droughts, and they seem to be getting more frequent.
Oh.
And but I feel like the water district that I work for, I feel like they're very good in finding that balance.
They know what they're doing. So that's a good thing. That's a
of
good thing.
looking for new water sources as well as being good stewards of what we have. So, even though we do look for new water sources, it's not an excuse or trying to justify water waste.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, we're up against our NBC News Hour. You certainly was superstar on our show. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you joining us today. I just remind everybody who's listening, you can listen to this also on turfsradio.com, so please do that. It's a new thing we're doing. And everybody have a great week. Thank you again for joining us, and remember the most important thing to do, think blue.
Thanks for
Good
coming
night,
on,
everybody.
Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.